Hi there, I care and you matter. I'm Shannon and welcome to my channel. I'm a stress mitigation strategist and a soft skills educator. And here I share stories, tips, and solutions to help you bounce back, stress less, and feel better. And one specific tool that helps me personally do all three of those things are the plain old run of the mill index cards. In fact, you're going to see me referencing index cards throughout this video because that's how I roll, that's how I work. So I decided I would share a video on specific ways that I use index cards and why I love them so much. And I'm hoping that you can take some of these ideas and tips and apply it to your life to help you. So let's jump right into it. The first reason I love index cards is because they're economical and accessible. You can find these babies everywhere and for dirt cheap. So there's a very low barrier to entry with these. If you want to take control of a project or start creating some new habits, grab a stack of index cards because they will help you get well on your way. And some of the future tips here will help you. The next reason I love index cards is because you can use them in any way you want. They can be as fancy or as utilitarian as you want. If you're a crafty person and you love to scrapbook and journal, go to town on these babies. You could even watercolor on these. You can use washi tape. You can use all your favorite journaling supplies. Or you can just do the nitty-gritty with a pen and an index card. I'm kind of in between myself. The only real fancy things I use are different colors. I like Sharpies, I like gel pens. I like to color code things. But that's the other great thing about index cards. You can make them any way that works for you or any way you enjoy using them. Next, index cards are easily transportable. I keep just a stash, maybe 10 to 15 cards in my purse with a piece of elastic wrapped around them. I call them my satellite cards. That's because it's important to keep a notebook or something with you at all times to jot ideas down, or when you remember something that you don't want to possibly forget. You need a place to write that down. And yes, I could carry a notebook. Sure, I could carry a big planner, but I don't like to do that. I have psoriatic arthritis, so my shoulders and my hands hurt, and so a stack of index cards, yeah, I can throw that in my purse, no problem. So I love the fact that I can tuck them in a pocket and have them with me at all times. Next, index cards are mistake friendly. I am a recovering perfectionist. Again, recovering. I hate it when I make a mistake on a page. I know I shouldn't. I should just cross it out and keep going. I could use whiteout. I just don't roll that way. But an index card, it's small. I likely haven't written much on it to begin with, so if I screw up, I can rip it up and start over. I love that about index cards. Next, index cards make a phenomenal memory tool. So many of us, I'm sure, use these to create flashcards. When I was teaching fourth grade for years, I had my kids create flashcards on index cards to help them memorize their multiplication tables. Well, you know what? We can still take advantage of index cards now for our memory. I heard it said that your brain is a computer, not a storage locker, so don't use it that way. In other words, get out onto paper or a note or somewhere things that you need to remember so that you can let it go out of your working memory. And one way I do that is index cards. I can jot it down, shove it in my pocket, pin it to my computer, do it or place wherever I need it to see so I remember. So in other words, it takes off the toll or the burden of remembering off of my mind. I think of Harry Potter. Dumbledore used the pensieve and pulled the memories out of his head. Well, that's what I do with index cards. They are literally my paper pensieve. Next, I love index cards because they encourage productivity. They help me focus on one thing that I'm working on so I'm not getting overwhelmed by an entire project. It also keeps me on task and in order. And it also helps me feel productive because I can see a stack of index cards of different steps get smaller and smaller and smaller. Or if I've jotted down a to-do list on my index card, when I'm done, it feels so great to just rip that sucker up and then throw it in the recycle bin. Next, index cards are easily adjustable. Not just in size. I prefer the regular old standard 3x5, but you can get them obviously in sizes such as 4 inches by 6 inches. I've even seen them 5x8. But also the size. So if you're working on a bigger project, you just add more cards. You need more space to write, you just add more cards to that and then number them. If you specifically want to downsize, well, go through your index cards and get rid of the ones that are done and completed and you aren't going to need to reference anymore. It can truly be as big or as small as you need at any given time. Next, I used index cards as a personal management tool. In other words, I use these to help me plan my time. I have an index card each day. Some days I'll have everything on one card. Other days I'll have a card for each area of my life. For example, I work part-time as a writer for an organization and a curriculum designer. So I have an index card that I use if I have a lot of tasks that I have to get done for that particular role in my life. Another card I might have for appointments for the kids. Another one I might have personal goals for the day, specific personal projects that I want to get done. Using index cards helps me manage my personal resources, my time, my energy, my decision making. What is it called? Choice fatigue. Having too many choices to make in a day or even in an hour is a real thing. That's exhausting. So spending a few minutes in the morning of each day or in the evening before the start of the day and just writing down all the different tasks, all the different priorities I have to get done during that next day makes a world of difference, because then when the day starts, all I have to do is do the work, do the things. I don't have to make decisions. I don't have to think about where I'm going to spend my time. I don't even have to remember them. I just have to look at my card and then do the stuff. Next, I love index cards because they help me narrow my focus. I'm not looking at a big sheet of paper. I'm not looking at a massive list of stuff to do. I'm just looking at a teeny tiny index card. And somehow, when it's on an index card, it ain't so overwhelming or scary. It helps block out everything else and helps me narrow in on exactly what I need to do. This particularly, I'm going to go to the next one. The last step, or the last tip I have is I use index cards as an organizational tool. And it kind of goes along with narrows your focus. Because when I am planning a book, or I'm starting a new project, or I'm planning a curriculum, what I do is I think of where I'm headed, what's the big goal, and then I break it down into individual steps. And this is great for just goal setting and getting to. Have your big goal, but often that big goal or that big project or that big task can be overwhelming. It's a lot. But the way you make it not a lot is you break it down into little steps, little things, bit by bit by bit, and then you do those little things. So in other words, index cards really truly help me go from wanting and wishing to doing the concrete work. And so as an organizational tool and narrowing my focus, I would take individual steps, put them on the index card, and then that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm working on. That's what where my focus is. And then when that's done and completed, I go to the next one. And at the end of the day, it's just so great to be able to look at that list and rip it up. And I actually love the feeling of just crossing out the things that I get done throughout the day, crossing it off on that paper list. I know lots of people have gone to fancy apps and programs and they can use their phone or whatever. And that's great. I am very much a tactile, kinesthetic person. Index cards are fidget friendly. Let's just put it that way. If you're the kind of person who learns in very kinesthetic ways or just works better when you're physically actively doing something, staring at a computer or typing on a phone is just not gonna meet you where you are. And I think one of the biggest things we can do for ourselves is know how we best function, know how we work. And I am very much a paper and pen person, and specifically an index card and Sharpie person. So those are many different ways that I use index cards and why I love them so much. And I hope that you have gained some ideas And if you have any to share with me, please drop them down in the comments below, because I would love to learn some new ways to use index cards and to increase my appreciation of them. Thanks so much for watching. If you don't mind, please click subscribe and hit that bell so you get a little notice when I release a new video. Helps out my channel, and I appreciate the encouragement so much. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.